Hi, BMIS 270. This is chapter 5, 6, and 7, part 3. So the first thing we'll talk about is this decision support system. So this is a DSS. This is the focus of a DSS is on decision-making effectiveness regarding unstructured or semi-structured business problems. Okay, so mostly decision-making effectiveness. Now, performance is typically a function of decision quality and problem complexity, and then the time frame, when you think about this DSS, is probably the 1 to 4 or 5 year time frame. So, with our picture, we have we're determining the benefits of an information and decision support system. Okay, so what we have is performance that feeds into that decision quality, problem complexity, and then cost of hardware, software, database, and all those other bits and pieces. So when we think about that, does the performance or the benefit outweigh the cost? And you can make that determination by using your decision support system. Not a great example, but that's kind of what we're talking about. Now, with a decision support system, let's see, I'm going around through the slides. Okay, so now a DSS differs from an MIS in a few ways. So the type of problem solved, because what you're doing with MIS is solving or understanding short-term issues, daily, weekly, monthly sort of issues. With DSS, the time frame is different. It's probably from 1 to 4 year old, or 1 to 4 year or 5 year problems. Okay, the support given to users, there is less technical support with a DSS, because part of that DSS information actually involves information coming from outside of the information system, as in experts in the field. So the decision emphasis and approach, again, you're talking about weekly, monthly, daily versus longer term, up to 5 years, and then the type, speed, output, and development of the system used. Okay, so oftentimes, I think probably the best example is that with your MIS data that you're pulling in, you're using your TPS information, okay, the stuff that you're gathering daily, to make daily, weekly, or monthly sorts of reports. Now, what's happening with the DSS is that you're pulling that TPS daily sort of information, and then you're using and building those daily, perhaps weekly, monthly, quarterly reports, and taking a look at what a number of those monthly or quarterly reports actually mean. So when we're talking about the type, speed, and output and development of the system used, that part of what we're talking about is that it takes longer to actually build the data set involved with this. So with this particular chart here, the problem type, this is a factor, the problem type, DSS can handle unstructured problems. MIS normally used only with structured problems, meeting payroll, dealing with inventory issues for MIS. Users, support individuals, small groups, an entire organization. Users typically have more control over a DSS and supports primarily, and an MIS supports primarily the organization. In the short run, users have less control over an MIS, so much of this is automated. Support approach system, users' computer equipment that is usually online and related to real time. Okay, MIS uses printed reports that might be delivered to managers once per week, so it cannot provide immediate results. Okay, output produces reports that are usually screen oriented. That's a DSS with the ability to generate reports on a printer, and MIS is oriented toward printed reports and documents. So remember, MIS is stuff that we gather basically weekly, quarterly, monthly. DSS excuse me, is a method, a way to use information that can help us make longer term decisions. Now, an executive support system just goes a little bit beyond the DSS. So it's a specialized DSS, includes hardware, software, data, procedures, people, all the parts of an information system used to assist senior level executives. That's the deal. So helps define the overall vision, and that time frame stretches out to probably 4 to 10 years for long-term strategic decision making. Characteristics tailored to individual executives, support the need for external data. When you're talking about external data, you may actually use only a little bit of your information system data, but you'll use a lot more field experts, information from other areas. So you're pulling with an ESS, you're pulling a lot of information in from a lot of different areas. A TPS is just right here with your information system, and MIS is very similar, right here with the information system. A DSS, mostly your information system, but you're pulling some information in from, again, industry experts in some cases. And then an ESS, executive support system, used to make long-term decisions, probably strategic planning decisions, and that uses a little bit of our information system that we've gathered, or the data we've gathered with the TPS, but it really includes a lot of additional stuff from industry, stuff meaning information from industry professionals, experts, trends outside the industry. A lot of additional factors go into it. And then characteristics, let's see, can help with situations that have a high degree of uncertainty and have a future orientation. Capabilities, supports for defining overall mission, support for strategic planning, support for strategic organization and staffing, and support for crisis management. And then a group support system consists of most elements in the DSS plus software to provide effective support in group decision making. So really kind of Lotus Notes, for example, is that sort of example of a group support system. I think, let's see, there are some others as well, but Lotus Notes really comes to mind because it's that overall scheduler, it's that sharer of data, that type of thing. So GSS has used a number of tools: email, video conferencing, group scheduling, project management, document sharing, all of those things. And really, you know, this as we think about it, Google Docs, and of course there's some other ones as well with Microsoft, but Google Docs also is an example of a group support system. Even though it's a freebie system, it's an example just the same. Okay, and then an enterprise resource planning. Now, this is really that software, that enterprise software that we use to run the organization. Think about your student information system at Helena College. It's the software that runs and when I say student information system, there's actually additional modules. There's actually a product called Banner that runs the student information system and the HR system and the financial aid system and everything else. So that's essentially an ERP. That's an example of an ERP. So as it points out here, central to the organization, think about Banner and the student information system software. Ensure information can be shared across all business functions. So if you go ahead and apply at admissions, then that information goes to perhaps HR if you get on work study, to financial aid if you get financial aid. So that information, and also goes to your course registration piece, and your transcript. So that information is shared across all business functions, and then employs a database of key operational and planning data that can be shared by all. So what we have is an ERP database. You have the production for a business, production and supply chain management, customer relationship management, and sales ordering, and then financial and managerial accounting. So that's all information that's pulled out of your ERP database for these particular processes and functions. Okay, so that's kind of your picture of that enterprise resource planning. Now, advantages of this ERP. Now just think about this big single software solution like Banner, the student information system, which runs, again, financial aid, admissions, HR, all of this. The advantages: improved access to data for operational decision making, because you've got all this data in one piece. You can grab all of it, you can manipulate it, you can pull special reports, so that works really well. The second item is elimination of costly, inflexible legacy systems. So remember we talked about traditional file systems where you had a separate database for every particular function. Well, now this is all built together, so you don't have to worry about those old legacy systems. Improvement of work processes, upgrade of technology infrastructure. Okay, disadvantages though: expense and time in implementation. The big thing about ERPs is that they are a big thing, and that if you implement an ERP, just think about how many people at Helena College would have to, if we would go and implement a new ERP, a new student information system, how many people would have to be trained? How many staff members, how many faculty members, how many students would need to be retrained? You know, how long would it take to move all the information from the old system to the new system and ensure the new system is working right? Additionally, just think of the expense of using or of changing or of purchasing a new system from the old one. Now there may be a reason for it, but the old one may be very expensive. You never know about that, but those are considerations. Difficulty of implementing change, because you're talking about such a large system. At Helena College would be fairly easy. Think about U of M with 15,000 students. Think about like Michigan State with 40,000 students and making that kind of change. Difficulty integrating with other systems. They're usually kind of proprietary types of systems. Difficult in loading data into new ERP. There's so much of it and thousands of tables, literally. Moving from one system to another would be difficult. Risks in using one vendor. So if you have one vendor, if they want to charge you some more money, you are just out of luck, aren't you? So also, if they aren't providing very good customer service, what are you going to do? Change to another vendor? Well, you really can't. I mean, you're really bought in once you go with one. That doesn't mean that you can't change. That just means it's very difficult to change. And then the risk of implementation failure is always a problem. So and then another little piece here, challenges of multinational companies. So a lot of these ERPs are not just Helena College and the UM system, but they are multinational. And so what you have then consider the language differences, currency differences, just the way cultural differences, the way people approach their work, and think about the work process. So there's all these different kinds of different issues. Disparities in IS infrastructure. Think about a third world country versus first world country like America or countries in Europe. So there's a lot of issues with that, with ERPs. Now, other systems that we'll talk about here really quickly, major branches, artificial intelligence is another system, another information system. So, that's moving forward. Neural networks, expert systems, learning systems, natural language processing, those are all information systems that are moving forward and tie into our main information system. Now, if your particular project that you want to do in your business works with any of these, in robotics especially, maybe like in the automotive industry, make sure you include that as well. Even though I haven't given it a lot of time, make sure you include those. Let's see. I think we have another slide. So robotics, is developing mechanical devices that can paint cars and do things like that. Vision systems, hardware and software that permit computers to capture, store, and manipulate visual images. Google Earth is a great example of that. Natural language processing, things like what is it? Naturally speaking, Dragon, and then multimedia and virtual reality. So a lot of companies are using as part of their information system a virtual reality system. They use that a lot for training and simulation sorts of environments. Okay, so I think with that said, that's the end. We won't go into the additional slides that I have. So in this particular set of slides, we went and covered decision support systems. Remember that is information that gives you the ability to make decisions on a 1 to 4 year, 5 year time frame. Executive support systems have less input from our TPS and MIS, more input from external factors, and are for those executives and are based on 4 to 10 year time frames. Strategic planning also goes into ESS. We have GSS, which is like group support systems, which is like Google Docs or Lotus Notes. And then we have ERP systems, which are, again, think of that student information system or banner, which is a number of modules that actually support the business goal of the entire business. So it covers HR for us in Helena College. It covers HR, admissions, financial aid, course registrations, student records, all of those sorts of things. So in part 3, that's what we talked about. So thank you very much.